Some men get more attractive with age, while others seem to fade. The difference isn't luck, it's a few key habits. Let me show you what they are. Now, I want you to picture this. You see a man in his 50s or 60s walk into a room. His hair might be graying, maybe there are lines on his face, but he carries himself in a way that makes people turn their heads. There's something magnetic about him. Women notice, men notice. Doesn't it look like he is clinging desperately to his youth? He looks like he has grown into himself. That's the fine wine effect. He's aged in a way that makes him more appealing, not less. And then, on the other hand, you've probably seen men the same age who look like they've just given up. They carry stress in their faces. Their posture has collapsed. They don't look sharp or confident anymore. And what's shocking is this. Both men might have started at the same place in their 30s, but by the time they hit 50 or 60, the difference is night and day. The secret isn't random. Science, psychology, and decades of observation show us very clearly why some men age like fine wine and why others don tea. And today, I'm going to break it down for you. So, stay with me, because I promise you, once you hear this, you'll see older men in a completely new way. Still with me? Drop a yes in the comments to let me know you're tuned in. Here is the first thing you need to understand. Women, and people in general, don't just respond to physical features. They respond to signals. A psychologist would tell you that attraction is often more about perception than perfection. And the men who age well? They send the right signals, consciously or unconsciously. Let's start with one of the most powerful but underrated ones: posture and presence. Science has shown again and again that posture changes how others perceive you, and even how you perceive yourself. Stand tall, keep your shoulders back, make eye contact, and suddenly, you seem younger, stronger, more confident. When a man lets himself slump, shuffle, or avoid eye contact, it sends a very different message. It doesn't just look like bad posture, it looks like defeat. And trust me, defeat is not attractive. Now, let's talk about energy. You know those older men who still have that spark in their eyes? They might not be hitting the gym 5 days a week, but they move like their body still belongs to them. That spark tells you something very simple. They're engaged in life. They're not waiting for time to run out. They're living it. And that energy is magnetic. Women feel it. Other men respect it. But what about the men who lose that spark? Well, often it comes down to lifestyle habits. Science is brutally honest here. If you're feeding your body junk, sitting all day, never moving, and drowning your stress in alcohol, it shows. Your skin shows it. Your waistline shows it. Your energy shows it. And eventually, your confidence takes a hit too. That's why some men in their 50s look like they've aged 20 years overnight. Here's something shocking. Researchers have found that lifestyle choices account for as much as 70% of how you age. That means genetics only play a minor role compared to what you actually do every day. So, the fine wine men aren't just lucky. They've built habits that keep them sharp, attractive, and magnetic, whether they realize it or not. Comment 1 if you think this topic is worth discussing, or 0 if you think it's not that important. I want to see where you stand. Let's pull back the curtain on another secret. Psychological resilience. Aging well isn't only about physical health, it's about mental strength. A psychologist might call it emotional regulation, the ability to handle life without collapsing under pressure. Men who age like fine wine know how to take a hit, process it, and keep moving forward. They don't let bitterness or regret poison their presence, and this gives them an edge, because women, especially women past a certain age, are incredibly sensitive to emotional energy. A man who's bitter, angry, or cynical repels. A man who's calm, grounded, and quietly confident attracts. Science backs this up. Studies show that people who maintain a positive outlook not only look younger, but actually live longer. Stress literally speeds up aging by shortening your telomeres, those little caps on your DNA that protect your cells. Chronic stress is like acid on your youth. That's why resilience isn't just attractive, it's life-extending. Are you with me? Type 2 in the comments if you're still watching. Now, let me tell you a story, because I think it'll hit home. A friend of mine once introduced me to two men, both in their late 50s. On paper, they were almost identical. Both successful, both fathers, both with graying hair. But the difference between them was so stark it was almost shocking. One looked tired, withdrawn, like he was carrying the weight of the world. The other? He had this effortless charm. He laughed easily, listened intently, and you could feel that he was genuinely interested in the world around him. Guess who the women at the table gravitated toward? Guess who people leaned in to talk to? The secret wasn't looks. It wasn't money. It wasn't luck. It was the energy he carried, the way he took care of himself, the way he carried his years with pride instead of apology. That's what made him magnetic. And that's exactly what I want you to see for yourself. So here's another truth bomb. Grooming and style matter. I know some men roll their eyes at this, but listen. You can't control if your hair goes gray, but you can control how you wear it. You can't control if your face develops lines, but you can control whether you keep yourself sharp and clean. The men who age well don't try to look 25 again. That's a losing battle. They learn to dress, groom, and present themselves in a way that makes their age an asset, not a liability. Think about George Clooney, Idris Elba, or even someone like Jeff Goldblum. They're not trying to look like boys. They've leaned into their maturity, and that's exactly what makes them so magnetic. Still with me? Drop a yes in the comments if this is clicking for you. And here's the shocking part. Women often find older men more attractive not despite their age, but because of it. A psychologist would explain it like this. Maturity signals stability, confidence, and wisdom. It tells a woman, this man has lived, he's learned, and he's not playing games. But, and this is the big catch, if you don't pair that maturity with vitality, it backfires. Instead of looking wise, you just look worn out. Instead of coming across as grounded, you seem stuck. That's why aging well is an art. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest secrets. Curiosity. Yes, curiosity. Men who age well never stop being curious about life. They stay interested in learning, growing, and exploring. You can see it in their conversations. They don't just talk about the past. They talk about what excites them now and what they're looking forward to. That kind of energy is rare, and it makes them stand out. Science has even found that curiosity is linked to brain health and longevity. So if you want to stay magnetic as you age, never stop learning, never stop engaging, never stop asking questions. Here's a quick interactive moment. Have you ever tried picking up a new skill after 50? Maybe learning an instrument, a language, or even just a new hobby? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to know. Here's another key factor: purpose. When a man loses his sense of purpose, it shows. He drifts. He disengages. And that disengagement reads as unattractive. But when a man has direction, when he has something he's working toward or cares about deeply, it lights him up. Purpose is like oxygen for the masculine spirit. Without it, you fade. With it, you thrive. I'll tell you something shocking. Research shows that men who retire without a clear sense of purpose actually age faster and die younger. That's how powerful it is. So if you're over 50, one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is something meaningful to pour your energy into. It doesn't have to be a job. It can be a passion, a cause, a craft. Anything that gives your life structure and direction. That's what makes you magnetic, because people can feel when a man is alive with purpose. And now, let's not forget the most obvious piece. Health. Yes, the basics. Diet, exercise, sleep, hydration. You'd be surprised how many men ignore these things until it's too late. But the men who age well don't treat their body like an afterthought. They fuel it, they move it, they respect it. And it shows. Not just in their muscles or their waistline, but in their skin, their energy, their presence. Science is crystal clear. What you do with your body in your 50s determines how I'll feel in your 70s and beyond. So if you're listening right now and thinking, Mira, it's too late for me, let me tell you, it's not. Studies show that men who start exercising in their 50s and 60s can reverse years of decline. The human body is shockingly adaptable. It's never too late to reclaim your health, your energy, and your presence. Now let's tie it all together. The men who age like fine wine? They're not chasing youth. They're embracing their age with strength, curiosity, confidence, and purpose. They've built habits that make them resilient, attractive, and magnetic. They're not perfect, but they carry themselves in a way that makes people say, wow, that's a man who just keeps getting better. And the men who don't? They let life happen to them instead of happening to life. They ignore their health, lose their spark, and slowly fade. But the choice is yours. That's the shocking truth. It's not luck. It's not genetics. It's the decisions you make every single day. So now I want to ask you, which man do you want to be? The one who fades quietly into the background, or the one who keeps getting better with age? If you want more actionable tips to improve your health after 60 and psychological dynamic of female attraction, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell so you don't miss my next video.